YouTube family, welcome to my universe.
Bet you can't tell who I'm trying to be.
Dan
Effing Brown.
A man who was once a small-time vlogger just like me, now with over 216,000 subscribers. But what is it about this guy that YouTubers find so appealing? Does he really give anything to the YouTube community, or is he just another guy giving his own selfish opinions, jump-cutting his way to fame? In my opinion, I have found Dan Brown to be very blunt and forceful about his own opinions, making jokes to insult those that may attempt to oppose him, and sometimes completely avoiding topics that he just feels he is so sure of the answer he doesn't think he needs to hear anybody else's opinion. And in one sense, he's correct. But is this really the attitude of a vlogger of the YouTube community? A community of people who hold interests of every kind. But on the other side of the Dan Brown coin, he brings up a lot of the topics of today's society. And when he's not feeling too arrogant about it, he gets the community involved. At exponential numbers, I might add. But at the same time, is this just not another clever way to get his views? Dan Brown is a YouTube partner and he gets paid by the views, so he's gonna want you to be interested in his video. Now family, before you bring the hammer of justice down on me, I myself have only seen a handful of Dan Brown's videos, making me not the right person to tell you whether or not Dan Brown is a good or bad person. Heck, even if I knew everything about Dan Brown, that still would not give me the right to tell you whether or not Dan Brown is a good or bad person. But I think this is a great opportunity for us to put Dan Brown under the magnifying glass. The man who's usually the one holding it. So if you have an opinion on who you think Dan Brown is as a person or a member of the YouTube community, I'm really curious to see how my community views Dan Brown. And if by some miracle Dan Brown would look down from his mighty place in the YouTube populace and see this video, I will hope and pray that he takes the time to do a video response to me as well. If he who is Dan Brown should lower himself from his ivory pedestal to give us feedback, well then I would be more than happy to listen to him. Now before I go family, I want you to understand one last very important piece of information. This video was not at all intended to attack Dan Brown. I do not have a personal vendetta against Dan Brown, nor him to me. Unless, of course, he's jealous of my possession of Ghetto Bear. I know that if I lived in a Ghetto Bearless world, I would be quite jealous of whoever possessed him. Anyway, I am currently torn between each end of the spectrum with this guy. And it is because of this that I'll be doing extensive research for the next week on who Dan Brown is, was, and what he means to the community. And it's because of this that I need your video responses. Let's face it, I can do all the research I want to, but it's not going to help me see how the community views Dan Brown if I don't hear from it. And it's because of that that I need your video responses. As long as I get a fair number of video responses, you can expect to see me next Friday with my top 3 favorite responses on who Dan Brown is and what he means to the community. Until then, well, I'll see you tomorrow with my last day of Vita. Trust me, it's going to be a good one. Oh, and one more thing, Dan. Where in the world did you get that mini chalkboard? I looked everywhere, and all I could find was this stupid whiteboard. I don't like the whiteboard.